Tax time is upon us, and if that doesn't mean your life is a little bit miserable right now, you're probably not human. Tax time is one of the most terrible times of the year, but thanks to some great tools we have here Back on Stage, we can help you get through that a little bit easier. So today we're going to dive in and we are talking about navigating tax time specifically for music ensembles. We are talking about income tax reporting, sales tax reporting, musician payout reporting, and doing all that within your Back on Stage account. So if you are new here to Back on Stage app, welcome. We are a web platform for blue collar musicians, bands, and DJs who want an alternative to all the messy spreadsheets, email chains, and text threads that we're all so used to living on. We're a live music booking management software that helps you generate revenue and gig more by combining lead generation, client follow-up, invoices and contracts, income tracking, musician scheduling and payouts, setlist, and so much more into one easy-to-use app. We have actually developed a method here that increases the booking capacity of live music businesses by over 500% in as little as 1 to 2 months, which obviously means more gigs for you, more revenue, and more live music for the world. It's one of our missions here at Back on Stage to make the world a happier place through live music performances. So we are super excited to be enabling music ensembles all over the world to bring more of their music back on stage. So happy to have you here with us. If you'd like to check out the app in more detail or sign up for a 30-day free trial, head over to backonstageapp.com. Okay, so back to today's topic at hand. So we're going to be looking at income reporting, sales tax reporting and calculating, as well as all of the musician payout reporting. So we're talking about getting together these records of income earned for your musicians. In Canada, that is a T4A form. In the United States, we're talking about a 1099 miscellaneous. And these are proofs that you have actually paid people what you said you pay them. It's the cleanest paper trail for showing how much money went out of your business. And they're really non-disputable. So it makes it really easy if you're ever getting audited to just pull those out and not be taxed extra on money that you might not otherwise be able to prove that you sent to somebody. So they're the best way of recording all of this income you're paying other musicians. So to begin here, we're going to start with the income reporting portion. We're going to start by exporting our company earnings from Back on Stage using the date filter on our dashboard and selecting the fiscal year that we're looking at. And then we'll calculate the total income as well as any sales tax on those earnings. So let's head over and do that. So I'm here on my Back on Stage dashboard. I've logged into my company here. And all I need to do is scroll down to the income and expenses section here and choose the right date. So I've already selected it here. I'm choosing custom date. In my company, our fiscal year starts on December 1st and ends November 30th. So I've selected those dates for last year. And when you do that, you want to just hit the done button there. That's going to recalculate all these numbers for you. This is very important to remember that when you are doing your own company's income reporting, you're choosing your fiscal year here. But when you are calculating the amounts that you've paid your individual musicians throughout the year, that needs to be done on a calendar year basis. So don't forget that. That's a really painful thing to notice when you've filed all of your T4A or 1099s for the year and then you realize that you accidentally calculated them all on the fiscal year. So don't do that. I'm not speaking from experience at all. So all we're going to do here is click on the income amount there. That's going to pull up this report for us, and we just need to hit the export button. When we do that, we're going to get an export of all of those amounts. And I am going to choose to use Google Sheets for this today because that's just the easiest way for me to process stuff. If you have another spreadsheet format you'd like to use, go ahead and open that up. But all you need to do is once that's downloaded onto your computer, just hit the open button there and you can upload the file into your Google Sheets here. So once you open the file, it's going to look something like this. And we've got the date, we've got the payee. Oh, sorry, I'm in the wrong report here. This is my musician payouts. I'm going to just switch over here real quick. This is the income report I want. So this is what you're going to see when you pull this data out of Back on Stage. I've shrunk up this column so you can't see my names of clients here, but for privacy. But all we really need to do to figure out how much income we've earned for the year is to scroll all the way down here. And this field right here is the balance at the very end of the year. So I can see we've made $250,000 for this period. Now this amount will include sales tax if you are charging sales tax on your services. So if you're in the United States, this doesn't apply. Musicians don't need to charge sales tax there, at least at time of recording this video. But in Canada, as well as Australia and the UK, if you're over a certain income threshold in your band, in Canada, that's $30,000, you will need to charge GST, goods and services tax, on your services. And that needs to happen to everything you charge back on stage. So before I go any further, if you're doing things where you do cash deals with clients, for example, and you tell them, hey, we'll bill you in cash so that you don't have to pay sales tax, I'm not going to judge. Okay, I'm not a tax expert and I'm not going to audit you. Obviously, that's not the way the government wants you to do things. But if you're doing that and you're doing those sort of under the table bookings, let's call them, you want to make sure you're removing those from this sheet before you do all these calculations. Otherwise, this GST number that we're going to calculate in a second isn't going to be right. So for example, if I didn't charge this client GST, I'm going to just have to go in there and delete that row because that might be an under the table gig. So you didn't hear that from me, but that's how you can get rid of any gigs if you need to. So in my case, I didn't do that for anybody. So all of my gigs are above the table. And this is the number, including sales tax, that my company has earned this year. So what I want to do is calculate the GST, and then of course calculate the fee total, which is the amount I've earned without tax, because this is what I'm going to report on my income taxes. And then this is what I have to file to the government and pay them in terms of the GST account that I have. So this is pretty simple. You can see my formula here. All we're doing is taking the value from this column, and we are calculating that value minus, and I'm just going to do this out for you so you can follow along here. All we're going to do is hit the equals button. I'm going to select this column here, and then I'm going minus. We're going to select it again. That number divided by 1 point, and then whatever the sales tax amount, percentage rather, is that you charge. In Canada, it's 5%, so I type 0.5. That is going to give me the GST amount that was included in that number. And then over here for the fee total, all I'm doing is, you can follow along with me again, I'm hitting equals, that number there, divided by 1 point, and then whatever your sales tax rate is, again, 0.05 for me. And that's the amount there. So when I'm doing my income taxes, this is the amount that I actually am reporting there. And then this is my GST amount. If you want to make sure you did that correctly, always make sure that those two numbers add up. You can do an equal sum there and press return. And this number should equal this one, and it does. So I've done that right. So that's how to get our income and our sales tax amount out of the totals inside Back on Stage. So now we're going to look at expense reporting for musician payouts. And for this, we're going to go back to the dashboard. We're going to use the date filter. Again, this time choosing the calendar year. And we're going to clean up our spreadsheet, sort by payee, and then we'll be able to calculate the total for each musician and the GST on those earnings. This process is a little more painful, so I'm going to walk you through it. And we do have a template to help you out with that as well. So same kind of thing. I'm coming over here to my Back on Stage dashboard. From within here, this time I want to choose the date range that is on the fiscal year. So I'm actually going to start this on January 1st, sorry, I said fiscal year, I meant calendar year. January 1st, 2022, and I'm going to change this to December 31st, 2022. And then you would click done here, and that would recalculate. From there, all you need to do is hit the expenses button there and export to CSV. Okay, once you've exported that, you're going to again open that up in Google Docs or wherever it is that you're processing this. From here, we just need to do a little bit of cleanup. We don't need the date column. I'm just going to delete that fully. We do not need this event column. We're going to delete that. We don't need the role information. We can delete that. So from here, all we're going to do is sort by payee. This is going to put everybody in the right order. In my case here, I've got a bunch of other random expenses up here that I don't really need. So I'm just going to delete these. so. From within here now, I can start calculating totals for each musician. You'll see how it's grouped them all together. So I've got this person on his own here, and this person siloed out. So this part's a little tedious, but what you want to do is, first of all, if you're using this in anywhere outside of the US, you may have like in my case, I've got this CAD for Canadian funds here. I'm in Canada. So what I want to do is run a find command, open that up. I just hit Command F to do that, or Control F on PC. Find, and I'm going to type in the word CAD, and I'm going to replace that with a $sign. And I'm just doing that in this specific sheet, and replace all. Done. Once we've done that, now we can easily calculate on these numbers. Before, with a CAD in there, we couldn't do that. So all I need to do here is, okay, I've got this Adrian person. I'm going to come in here and hit equals, and I'm going to go grab these 3 columns there. Oh, sorry, forgot one thing here. We need to type equals, and we need to type sum, open bracket there, and then just drag over those and hit enter. That is the total for that musician. Now this musician here only worked 1 gig with us, so I can just copy and paste that number over. Same sort of thing for this person. We're looking at Bill Allen now. Sum, again, same thing, and we're going to just grab his amounts, total those up. Grab this one, he only did 1 gig with us. These people as well. Oops. And I'm just hitting Command C, copy and paste. I know all the key commands for that. Hopefully that's easy enough for you to figure out. Otherwise, edit, cut and paste, or sorry, copy and paste is what you're going to be doing there. So same kind of thing. We're just going to do this for all of our musicians. I'm going to just do a couple more here. Some for this guy, so you've got a good example to work with. This guy, Daniel Clapton, we hired him a lot, so he's got a bunch more columns. And this is the last one I'll do here. So, oops, scrolled out of the way there. And enter. Okay, perfect. Now that we have calculated, I'm going to pretend we've calculated all of them. I've got a whole bunch more to go there, but that's where we're going to stop for the example here. This step's really important. Select the whole column and copy that. Now you're going to move over to the next column and you're going to paste special. In here, we're going to paste the values only. We need those values only because we are going to do some sorting right now that is going to mess up our formulas that we had. So now we're going to grab this. We're going to go sort A to Z. And now we have all of our amounts here and all the musicians that they belong to. So in this case, if I was finished, I could go through here and I would just delete the rest of these rows. You don't need these anymore. We've got the totals for every musician already. Oops, grabbed the wrong thing. Oh, it's not liking me to do that. Okay, I'm just going to scroll up manually. Here we go. Put my face out of the screen there. So now we've got all these totals. We don't actually need these anymore. We can delete these columns as well because we have everything we need from there. So now that we have these numbers, we know that Catherine made $210, Amy made 300, etc. We have all the right amounts. Now inside Back on Stage, if you've just run an export, if you are in the United States, this is good. You're done. You've got all of your amounts for each musician. If you're outside of the United States and in a place like we talked about earlier where you might need to be charging GST, keep watching. So I'm talking about Canada, UK, Australia. If any musicians are making over that income threshold, which in Canada is $30,000, they need to be charging GST, goods and services tax, on all of their services. In which case, some of these numbers might include GST. So what we need to do now is throw everything into this handy little GST calculator I've built. The template for this is in the video description, so you can go and click on the link. If you grab this template, just make sure when you open it, you won't be able to edit this document. So you're going to go File, Make a Copy, and then you can use this inside your own Google account. So what we're going to do here is we're going to copy and paste all of our musician names into these columns here. I'm just copying and pasting. In my case, I don't have these guys anymore, so I can get rid of those. You may have a few more musicians than this. If you did, for example, if your musician list was a lot longer, just paste them in there like that. Grab this row, grab this little grabber right there, the little handle, and drag it down. And that will copy all of these values down there for you. So that is how you would do that. So what we're doing now that we've got all these numbers in, you unfortunately need to just know you'll have to reference your bookkeeping software or wherever it is you're keeping this information, whether or not each one of these musicians charges GST. And then all you have to do is go and put a Y or an N in the column. So for example, Y I'm putting in here, I know Catherine charges GST, Amy does not, Brent does not, and so on. If these numbers are not there, you're not going to get the right numbers in here. So make sure you put them in properly. No, and yes, for example. Now what this is going to do for you is it's going to make sure that the fee total here is right. And this is the amount that you're going to report on the T4A form. In Canada, again, the T4A forms do not report on GST. So we have a T4A form sample right here. This is what you'd fill in. So you would be taking these fee total numbers here and putting them into this fees for services section right there, and filling in the rest of the information for each of your subcontractors. We are going to also include the link to this T4A form in the video description in case you don't know where to find that. And same thing for the 1099 miscellaneous form for people in the United States. We're including this link in the video description as well. And you just need to go in here and plop in the other income amount right there that you extracted. So those are the two forms that you need. So this is really all there is to it. If you are calculating your sales tax for Canada as well, now you've also figured out how much GST you've paid out to all these musicians. And in the case of you collecting GST, these become what we call input tax credits. Input tax credits will lower the amount of GST that you need to pay to the government at the end of the year. So it's handy to know what all of those are as well. As a side note here, I will mention that Back on Stage at this point is not really designed to be a fully fledged accounting software. We're more booking centric and we sort of help you get the ins and outs around your various bookings. But I would still recommend that you use something a little more robust like a QuickBooks or Sage or something like that, Xero, whatnot, if you are running a serious business, because there are other day-to-day expenses and reporting and things that you need to do as a business that Back on Stage just doesn't do for you yet. So I would recommend that. But if you are still doing everything manually in spreadsheets or whatever for your accountant, hopefully these two systems have sort of helped you get your head around that a little bit. Again, my GST calculator template link is in the description to this video. So hopefully that will help you with calculating the GST payments and the fee total amounts that you've paid your musicians for the year. So that's it for today. We've looked at expense and income reporting within Back on Stage app. I hope this helped you guys out. Again, if you are new and wanting to check out Back on Stage app, head over to backonstageapp.com. We'd love to meet you. And please let us know if you have any questions or concerns in the comments on this video, and we will happily get back to you. Thanks for watching, and